In this video, we're going to cover the Retiree Earnings Limit Calculator. Now that's a calculator you need to complete if you're rehiring a retiree, the MTRS, or even somebody else's retiree, and they are going to come back to work for you part-time under the limits of the law. So we're going to click on the Retiree Calculator. And here you have to put in your members, your new hire's social security number. You need to put in their membership number. What you're going to see here is that it takes a moment. It's going to fire up an e-form for you. And even though you're in the Blackboard Public Schools, and this is Petunia Peafowl, you may remember her from the retiree insurance videos. She's a retiree at the Aviary Public School. So even though she's another school's retiree, you can bring up her information. All right. So this is going to be the position from which she retired. So this is usually her last position worked, or it might be a different position earlier if she earned more in a position prior to the position she held when she retired. So we're going to say she's a teacher. And because she was a teacher, this will factor into the next section of the calculation and the date she's being reemployed. So 9/1/2024. And these two bits of information are going to be important for the next section of the form. So now, enter the salary for the calendar year for the position in which the individual retired. So this is going to be the salary for the calendar year when the person retired. It's, again, usually going to be their last salary, but it could be a salary from a previous period if the person had, let's say, been a principal, becomes a classroom teacher, but they use their principal years as their salary average. Maybe they're the 3 or 5 highest consecutive salaries. So we're going to say the salary from which they had retired had they not go. In our example, it would be $80,000 as a teacher. But in addition to just their base salary, they also had a $4,000 stipend. So it really should be the total of their regular compensation. So we're going to make that $84,000. So if they were working today as a teacher with all their steps and everything, they would earn an $80,000 base salary and a $4,000 longevity payment. And therefore, we're going to list $84,000 here. Now, their current retirement benefit, that's going to pre-fill for you, all right? So now you can see that her earnable amount, that's a pretty good amount of money she can earn, and it's $61,425. Now, if you subtract this number from this number, you're not going to get this number. And you might be thinking, well, why is that? Well, she's been retired for more than 12 months, so she's also getting a $15,000 boost, which is allowed under the law. For more information on that, and again, the specifics about working after retirement, this is about filling out the form, not that process. So we have that available on our website. We also have a video that walks you through the specifics and the rules around hiring a retiree under restrictions. Okay, so with that, the total earnings from other mass government entities. So this would be what she earned from any other public entity. You have to get this information from your retiree to properly fill this out, okay? Now, in this case, we're going to say, well, it wasn't necessarily another government entity. We're going to say that she was a sub back in May, and she made $5,200 as a sub. So we're going to put that in here so that we're figuring out her September to December amount. And again, remember, we're hiring her on September 1st. And it's on a calendar year basis. So this is the amount of money we're going to be putting in for calendar year 2024. So the projected total earnings from your school district in this calendar year, we're going to list that as what she's going to make between September and December. All right. So she's getting hired in a new position at $96,000 a year. We don't want to enter $96,000 because that's what her salary rate would be. This sub in our pretend situation here, she's only going to work September through December in this calendar year. So we're going to say she makes about $36,000 in that time period. And what you'll see is the $36,000 plus the $5,200 from before comes to $41,200, which is, again, under her allowable limit. Now, let's say she was coming back and you hired her as a superintendent. So really, she was going to make $96,000 between September and December. We're going to put in $96,000, and you'll see that if you do that, she's going to exceed her limits, and MyTRS will warn you. So it's important that you make sure you're putting in the proper information based on the time period between September and December. Now we're going to move on to the hours, and you're going to see that it works exactly the same. So maximum number of hours, and of course, if this is incorrect, you'd want to fix it. But for the maximum number of hours here, enter the projected hours from other mass government entities. Again, maybe it wasn't another mass government entity. We're going to say she subbed for you back in May. We're going to keep our example consistent here. So she did about 140 hours in May. So enter the projected number of hours from your school district. So we're trying to figure out September to December here. We're going to say, well, it's about 860 hours, all right? So that brings you to 1,000 hours, which is less than 1,200 for the entire calendar year. So you're actually in a really good spot. Now, if you were to increase this number, let's say she was going to do 1,100 hours in that time period, probably hard to do between September and December. But again, now you'd get a message saying, in accordance with Chapter 32, Section 91C, you can't do this. It's not going to work. You're in violation of the law. All right? So that's how those mechanisms work. So, of course, if you were going to be completing this retiree, you want to make sure you fix that or make other arrangements if you feel that you're going to be in violation. And then last but not least, you have a sign-off. So this is where your retiree signs off and where the school district signs off. This is a bit underrated. This can help protect you. If your retiree gave you bad information, she's signing off on it to tell you that this is right. So later on, if someone's questioning why you let her violate her rules, it might be based on information you didn't have, and you can show that. And, they look, I went on the best information I had available. Also, make sure you keep a copy of this in case you're being audited by DESE or state comptroller or something. Just make sure you're not violating the law. All right. Now, once you've generated this, we're going to go up to the cloud option here, little cloud icon, and you can see that it generates a PDF form. So then once your PDF form generates, you can save it, you can print it, you can even email a copy to your retiree to make sure they have a copy for their records. And, that's how the retiree post-earnings limit calculator works. I hope this was valuable, and thanks for joining us.